Welcome to Sakura Dreams. Tonight, we bring you a story of autumn in Japan. Clear skies, a pleasant breeze, and a rich, appetizing scent. In the autumn of Japan, a landscape that is both nostalgic and comforting spreads out before us. Among them, there is a special food that symbolizes this season. That is, the Sanma. This fish, whose name is written with the characters for autumn and sword, is called Sanma. Just as its name suggests, it has a beautiful, thin shape like a sword. Fishermen pursue shoals of Sanma, which shine with light in the night sea. They look just like a galaxy sparkling in the night sky. The savory smell that rises from grilled sanma is a sign of autumn's arrival in many Japanese homes. It's not just delicious, but a special scent that brings back memories of warm tables with loved ones and days gone by. The protagonist of tonight's story is Yui, a woman living alone in Tokyo. She holds a memorable love story deep in her heart, one tied to this very Sanma. If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Yui stopped in front of the fresh fish section at the supermarket. Contained in a square styrofoam tray was a school of beautiful, silver-shining sanma. Each one looked like a work of art. They're a little pricey this year, aren't they? An elderly woman standing next to her muttered. Yui nodded slightly. Indeed, the price was higher than usual. Even so, she didn't hesitate and chose one of the firmest fish. Sanma. Every time she whispered the word in her heart, a man's face would appear in her mind. His name was Ryo. He was a senior from the same university club as her. Their relationship, like the turning of the seasons, grew slowly but surely. The first time they went out to eat together was on an autumn night, about a year ago. Ryo chose a small, home-style diner. Yui, do you like Sanma? Rio asked her while looking at the menu. Yui was a little surprised. A man who chose Sanma at a diner seemed a bit old-fashioned and simple to her. Yes, I love it. When she replied, Rio smiled happily, and they both ordered the grilled Sanma set meal. The Sanma that arrived was grilled to a perfect golden brown, and its appetizing scent filled the air. With a little grated daikon radish and a few drops of soy sauce, Rio skillfully separated the fish with his chopsticks and savored each bite. It's delicious, isn't it? Rio said that and looked at Yui's face. His eyes shone gently, like stars in the night sky. Up until that moment, Yui had only thought of Sanma as delicious food. But that one fish she ate with Rio tasted the best she'd ever had. It wasn't just the taste of the Sanma, but the presence of Rio beside her and the calm atmosphere between them that made the flavor so special. From then on, many firsts were born between the two of them. The first day they held hands. The first day they said, "I love you." And the first autumn night they spent together in his room. Yui finished at the checkout and walked away, carrying the bag with the Sanma inside. The cold feel of the Sanma inside the bag gradually seeped into her palm. That coldness pulled her heart back to the depths of a warm memory. That autumn night, the first time they spent together in Rio's room. Soft music that Rio loved was playing quietly in his small studio apartment. The air was a little more private than what Yui knew of him, but it was comfortable. There were many photos from his travels taped to the wall, and Yui looked at each one with curiosity. "I'm hungry, aren't you?" Rio said that, sitting down beside Yui. "Should we make something?" Yui was a little surprised. She couldn't imagine Rio cooking. Noticing her hesitation, Rio gave a shy laugh. "I can't make anything special. But I thought it would be fun to cook together." He said that and took the Sanma from the refrigerator. Fresh from the supermarket bag, the fish was still a little cold. With awkward movements, they worked together to prepare the Sanma and sprinkle salt on it. On the cutting board, the Sanma's eyes glittered, and Yui felt a pang in her heart. Taking a life to eat, it was something she felt she needed to face again. They heated the frying pan and placed the Sanma on it. A sizzling sound echoed, and a savory smell filled the room. White smoke drifted lightly between the two of them, as if it were a thread connecting their hearts. Yui, look. It's perfectly grilled. Ryo said that happily, flipping the Sanma over with his chopsticks. It was a beautiful, golden brown. It was perfect. At that moment, Yui realized something for the first time. Ryo wasn't just a good cook. He was a person who put his heart into everything he did. The way he grilled the Sanma, his joyful smile. It was all a reflection of how much he treasured this time. They sat facing each other at the table and began to eat the hot Sanma. With one bite, the savory flavor and the delicious richness of the flaky meat filled her mouth. The taste was so good, Yui couldn't help but sigh. It's delicious, isn't it? Ryo said that and looked at Yui's face. It was the same thing he had said at the diner. But this time, it resonated more deeply in her heart. From that day on, their relationship deepened, slowly but surely, like the scent of the Sanma. When the season for Sanma arrived at the supermarket, Yui's mind would naturally drift to Ryo's face, and she would want to see him terribly. The Sanma was no longer just a fish to them. It was a symbol of their love, of the time they spent laughing and being together. However, an autumn that would signal the end of their relationship was soon to arrive. One season passed since the night they ate that Sanma, and autumn came once again. That year, the Sanma catch was a bit poor compared to previous years, and there were fewer of them in the supermarkets. Even so, Yui was looking forward to serving Sanma on the table with Ryo. One day, when Yui visited Ryo's room, he welcomed her with his usual calm expression and music playing softly. That night, they grilled Sanma together and sat at the table. But a different kind of atmosphere hung in the air. Normally, they would chat about fun things that happened or talk about the future, but that night, they were mostly silent. Yui waited for Ryo to speak first after he finished eating. "Yui, I have to tell you something," Ryo said, letting out a deep breath. "The thing is, I'm going to be studying abroad starting next spring." Yui felt as though her heart had stopped. She knew this was his dream, and she knew in her head that she should be happy for him. But she couldn't say a single word. "When are you leaving?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Ryo looked at her with a slightly sad expression. "Next spring. I got into a school in America. I wanted to study the American economy, so I'd been studying for it for a long time." "Congratulations." That was all she could manage to say. As she spoke the words of congratulations, her heart seemed to be crumbling audibly. The taste of the Sanma that night was different from usual. She couldn't taste the savory flavor or the delicious richness of the flaky meat. All that lay between them was a heavy, leaden silence. After that, the day of their farewell arrived in the blink of an eye. It was a clear, sunny day, which made their sadness feel strange. Their farewell was at the airport. Yui did her best to see Ryo off with a smile. "Take care, Ryo." Saying that was the last bit of courage she had left. "You, too, Yui." Don't overdo it, and stay well. Rio said that and gently stroked her head. He then placed a small package in her hand. If you like, please use this. Yui opened the package, and inside was a small keychain shaped like a Sanma. It seemed to bring back the memory of that night when they grilled Sanma together for the first time. When the Sanma season comes again. After saying that, Rio headed for the international gate without looking back. Yui looked back at the Sanma in front of her. The fish she'd bought at the supermarket lay on the cutting board, still and a little lonely, just like the two of them that night. She grilled the Sanma alone. The sizzling sound was still appetizing, but it wasn't the happy sound she had heard with Rio. The savory scent filled her room, but it no longer felt like a scent that connected their hearts. She added grated daikon radish and a few drops of soy sauce. The Sanma she ate alone was delicious. But still, she felt a tightness deep in her chest. The Sanma was once a symbol of their love. Now, it was a symbol of their parting. That's what she had thought. But as she slowly savored one bite after another, Yui realized something. Her memories with Rio were not an end. They had taken the form of the Sanma and were warmly and deeply etched into her heart. They were not just sad memories. They were the happy times they had spent together. Yui slowly separated the remaining fish from the bone. She did it carefully, just as Rio had done for her that night. The Sanma was no longer a symbol of love or a symbol of parting. It was a precious treasure for Yui to live on, strongly and warmly, even on her own. The Sanma became a precious treasure for Yui, allowing her to live on, strongly and warmly, even on her own. After that, the seasons turned several times. continued to walk her life's path with care and purpose. At work, she built a steady career, thanks to her newfound understanding of the beauty of taking time. On her days off, she found new hobbies and learned to enjoy fulfilling time on her own. One day, exactly 3 years after her farewell with Ryo, Yui went to the supermarket's fresh fish section, just like she always did. The Sanma season had come again. Since that night she grilled Sanma alone, she had made it a point to buy it every year in this season. It wasn't just to reminisce about the past, but a cherished ritual to confirm that she had overcome her past self and was living in the present. Just as she reached for one of the firmest fish, a voice she knew so well sounded from right behind her. Her heart skipped a beat. When she hesitantly turned around, she saw Ryo, looking exactly as he did in her memories. No, he was slightly different. He had a calm maturity and a confident expression that she hadn't seen in him as a student. Ryo? Yui's voice was trembling. Long time no see, Yui. Ryo gave her the same gentle smile he used to. The two of them left the supermarket and went to a nearby cafe. They talked about what had happened in the past 3 years. Ryo had achieved his dream of studying abroad and had now returned to Japan to start a new job. Yui, a little shyly, talked about her work and the nights she had grilled Sanma by herself. It hurt my heart a little to hear you were grilling Sanma alone, Ryo said, with a soft smile. But that Sanma wasn't just about sadness. The memories of you supported me. Besides, I learned that I could still eat Sanma deliciously, even on my own. That Sanma became a precious treasure to me. When she said that, Ryo looked at her, happy but a little sad. Yui, if you're free tonight, would you like to grill some Sanma together? At Ryo's words, Yui just quietly nodded. That night, Yui visited Ryo's apartment again for the first time in a long while. He had moved out of the old apartment where they said goodbye, and led her to a different one. Even though it was a different room, the atmosphere was just as it had been back then. The night view from the window, the travel photos on the wall, and the music playing softly. Together, they prepared the Sanma they'd bought at the supermarket. Their movements were no longer awkward like before. As if confirming how much they had grown, they quietly but carefully cooked the fish. A sizzling sound echoed from the frying pan. It was no longer the sad sound of their farewell. It was a warm, gentle sound, celebrating their reunion. The savory scent filled the room, and it seemed to carry not only memories of the past but also hope for the future. Facing each other, they sat down in front of the piping hot Sanma. Yui, I guess Sanma isn't something you're supposed to eat alone, Ryo said, smiling gently. From now on, I want to eat Sanma with you, forever. At his words, Yui didn't say anything, she just smiled quietly. Outside the window, a sea of countless lights spread out. It was different from back then. Now, in that sea of light, their two small lights shone warmly and gently. The scent of Sanma quietly and slowly began to weave their new story.